What's up, everybody? I come to you with sad news today. Listen, I told everybody from the start, don't get your hopes up about old Kyle Schwarber. Don't get your hopes up about Kyle Schwarber. The Reds ownership is not going to pay for Kyle Schwarber. That's what I've been telling everybody since the start. And then, what do you know? What do you know? Old Greg gets his hopes up. He gets his hopes up. All the rumors start flying. All the rumors are just flying about, hey, the Reds might actually have a chance to sign Kyle Schwarber. And old Greg gets his hopes up and thinks this thing could happen. There can't be this much smoke for it not to happen. We had the Philadelphia Inquirer yesterday say he could choose the Reds even if they gave him less money. I was getting my hopes up, man. And then today, the Kyle Schwarber saga came to an end on Tuesday morning, like I said, today, when he decided to sign a 5-year, $150 million deal to return to the Philadelphia Phillies. Jeff Passan shared a reason why the Reds came up short in the end, and this is infuriating. This is infuriating. I'm going to read a quote here from his article. Cincinnati, the dark horse because of its need for a power bat and its appeal to sign Schwarber, who grew up about 30 minutes outside of the city, did not meet the financial demands others were willing to. Why are you even in the discussion? If you thought you were going to, what'd you offer him? A bag of chips? Hey, Kyle, we know you like it here in Cincy. You want to come over here for a bag of chips? What? This was all a big waste of time. Again, I fell for it. I said from the start, no chance this happens. Absolutely no chance the Reds ownership will pay for this. And then I started to believe. You betcha I started to believe. And then all this for nothing. Only to come out and say the Reds tried. We offered him, but we didn't offer him near as much as the Phillies. That's the gut punch in all this. That is the gut punch. Listen, the Reds rarely have a player who wants to become a Cincinnati Red in free agency. Kyle Schwarber clearly had some interest. If you could make the argument and say he clearly wanted to go back to Philly. I'm not arguing with that. He might have wanted to go back to Philly. But the fact that the Reds didn't even offer him as much as Philly it's almost like I threw up a tweet earlier and said hang the billboard and said we tried to sign Kyle Schwarber. It's like, hey, we tried to sign Kyle Schwarber. Give us a pat on the back. Give us a pat on the back. Listen, I feel like I've been pretty positive towards the Reds over the years. I try to hype the Reds up when they're down bad. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I thought maybe the organization would throw me a bone. They don't think I exist. Whatever. I'm done. This is crazy. You can't have a fan base that's so excited. You had Barry Larkin asking for the Reds to sign Kyle Schwarber. You had Pat Kelsey, Louisville's basketball coach, saying go sign Kyle Schwarber. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. You had everybody so pumped up about this. All you had to do is go make it happen, or at least say we offered him the same amount of money and he went to Philly. But that's not what happened. You offered him less amount of money and thought he'd come at this hometown discount. That's the gut punch in all this. The Reds finally had someone with some interest to come in free agency, and they failed. The biggest contract the Reds have ever given out in free agency, Mike Moustakas, 4 years, $64 million. This was Kyle Schwarber. He had 56 home runs last year. The Reds' top 3 home run hitters last year didn't have 56 home runs. Put that in perspective. For the Reds not to come up with an offer similar to what Philly came up with, it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to read a comment from Miss Nikita here. Miss Nikita, thank you for always watching. I always see your comments. I appreciate you. She says, it's obvious that the Reds were never serious about Schwarber. As a fan, this is disappointing. A star wanted to come to Cincinnati, but the Reds can't come up with the cash. I agree. That's what I'm saying. It's ridiculous to be like, oh, we don't have the money. They have like 18 ownership groups. Make it happen. Give deferrals. I don't care what you do. To just every year be like, sorry guys, we tried, we couldn't get it done. It's just crazy. Now who are the Reds going to go sign? I can't. It's going to be like February, and it's going to be like, oh, the Reds re-signed Austin Hayes to a 1-year, $4 million deal, and then we're going to be like, Austin Hayes was pretty decent last year. That's what it takes for Reds fans. I just joked. Moustakas at 4 years, $64 million was the Reds' biggest signing ever. You know what the Dodgers did today? They went and signed a 3-year, $69 million deal for Edwin Diaz. They just said, "Take that, Reds. We just signed a closer for more than you've ever spent on a free agent." All right, here's another quote from Charlie Goldsmith. He not a quote, but here's what he said. He reported that the Reds did make an offer to Schwarber, and they felt like there was some interest from his camp. But this morning, if you're not watching this on Tuesday, we're talking about Tuesday morning, they learned that they were out of negotiations early on Monday morning. And honestly, we should have all seen this coming after Nick Krall's comments yesterday. Those were the most ridiculous comments. And if you didn't hear Nick Krall's comments yesterday, I'll read them to you. Here's what he told MLB.com's Mark Sheldon. I think people look at every aspect where we can, Nick Krall said. Our ownership group puts everything back into the team every year. Then they try to figure out how to break even every year. That's how we budget. We're trying to figure out how to best utilize the budget for the big league club. I'm sorry. If you're trying just to break even, maybe don't own a sports team. Also, if you're trying to break even, like that's not how you run a business. It's not how you run sports teams. You try to win. And if you really are just trying to break even, show us the books because nobody believes you. Nobody believes you. The break even line it's a yearly excuse. It's a yearly budget excuse. Oh, we wanted to go after this guy, but we just couldn't make it work with the money. This wasn't about trading a guy and having to give up trading for a guy, having to give up prospects. This was simply about cash. This was simply about cash, and the Reds said, "Hey, Kyle Schwarber, we know the Phillies are offering you $150. We'll give you $110 maybe, and maybe a bag of peanuts. But guess what? You'll be in your hometown. Come on by." Ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's the same thing every single offseason. The Reds' biggest need this offseason is offense. They went and signed Emilio Pagan to a 2-year, $20 million deal, which is great. But then I look at that now. Why didn't you use that money to add more to Schwarber's deal? Offense was much more needed than a bullpen. It's just crazy at this point. It's the same thing every single year. Schwarber would have instantly become the biggest power bat in the lineup. He's the exact type of player the Reds are missing. Left-handed, elite power. He had 56 home runs last year. He led the National League in home runs. I can't say that enough. He's been in the playoffs. He's a great culture guy. You can't ask for more than what Kyle Schwarber would provide this team. And the Reds are like, we tried. So now what happens? There was already another report that came out. Already another report that came out and said the Reds aren't likely to be in on any of the other big free agents, which we all knew was going to happen. Hey, Schwarber's a hometown guy. We'll try. And if we don't get him, are you going to spend that money anyway? Nah, we'll go look at signing, I don't know, Austin Hayes. Yesterday, the Reds were linked to Jake Myers. I mean, he's a fine player, but guess what? He can't hit. He's had an OPS below 700 for 3 out of the last 4 years. You know who would love that? Chris Valleca. It's just ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. Why are we fans of this team? Why are we fans of this team? We had Phil Castellini come out in 2022 and said, "Where are you going to go?" I tried to joke that off like, whatever. He didn't mean it, blah, blah, blah. He meant it. Clearly he meant it. The Reds have done their big signings in free agency have been Mike Moustakas and Jeimer Candelario. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? If you truly believe your window is open, and if you truly want to build a contender like you say you do, you don't lose out on a player that's from your hometown and wants to be here and say, we're just trying to break even. Ownership group's just trying to break even. You know who doesn't feel bad for millionaires? Reds fans who are out there making a living every day. You have fans that are working late night shifts, staying up to watch the Reds. And guess what? You have your $1 million owners saying, we can't go spend on this free agent because we're just trying to break even. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And that's the team we choose to be a fan of. I guess the joke's on us. Let's see if I say this right. Drop Shot Masta in the chat says Tito is probably begging for Krall to re-sign Santiago Espinal or Connor Joe. Listen, we laugh. We'll probably bring them back. Bring them back. Those are the type of guys we sign. Now that Schwarber's off the table, you can't go spend that money anywhere else. You gotta find some bargain. You gotta go bargain hunting. You gotta go to the local thrift store and say, who can we find maybe we can get a good year. The chaotic chemist says you got to spend money to make money. I completely agree. You got to spend money to make money. That's so true. Schwarber would have increased ticket sales. He would have done all that. But the Reds are like, nah, we can't make it happen. We can't make it happen. So back to the ownership thing. Why this is infuriating me. And appreciate you all joining. Hey, look, there's 34 people in here. I've went live like 5 times. I've never had 34 people. Usually there's like 3 people. I'm just talking to myself. So I appreciate you all being in here. But I was fired up about this, so I wanted to go live. The MLB revenue continues to rise. National TV deals rise. Sponsorships rise. Revenue sharing, you make more money. The Reds played that Bristol game. They had the biggest audience ever last year. And guess what? The Reds are like, we can't increase the budget. We're going to be the same budget as last year. But they're just trying to break even, guys. Remember. Listen, the Reds' payroll consistently ranks in the bottom third. But team revenues climbed. Attendance has climbed. They had the best attendance in a while last year. Why doesn't the budget? Why don't you spend more money in the free agency? Just trying to break even. It doesn't make sense. Franchise valuation is skyrocketed. Guess who profits from that when they do decide to sell way down the road? The ownership group. Guess who doesn't gain anything from that? Reds fans. It's ridiculous. You can't sit there and say, this is our window, we're trying to win, but we're just trying to break even. And listen, people are ripping Nick Krall for that. It's not Nick Krall's fault. I don't blame Nick Krall is given a budget that he has to work within. I'm guessing if Nick Krall could have went and spent $60 million on Schwarber and offered him that, I think he would have. I don't think it was his idea to say, hey guys, we have 160 to spend. Let's only offer Schwarber 110 or 120, whatever it was. It comes from ownership. He has to work within a budget. And I'm not trying to stick up for Nick Krall. Nick Krall's made some bad decisions, like signing Candelario and signing Moustakas. But in this situation, he was just the one that said the quote. He's not the one that came out and said, we are trying to break even every single year. That's all we're trying to do as an ownership group. The Reds operate nowhere near the luxury tax. They just choose not to spend. Again, I'm going to say break even 4,000 times in this stream because that quote was truly unbelievable. If you truly feel that way, just don't say it. Keep that to yourselves. We don't want to hear it. Reds fans don't want to hear it. You're making a laughing stock out of your franchise. The Reds just won 83 games last year. They made the playoffs for the first time since 2013. We're all excited. They go lose in the 2 games in the Dodgers, and we're disappointed, but we're like, hey, it was a step forward. You went to the playoffs. And then you have the perfect opportunity to be like, hey, let's go spend money on one of the best hitters in baseball. Now we're going to lowball him and hope he comes home because that's our pitch. Our pitch is just come on home, Kyle. Come on home, buddy. I know it's $40 million less, but just come on home. Listen, the team's young core is extremely cheap. You have Ellie De La Cruz. You have Matt McClain. You have Noel V. Marte. You have Hunter Green on a team-friendly deal. You have Nick Lodolo. All these Andrew Abbott, all these guys are on ridiculously cheap deals. There's never a better time to spend money. Instead, we're going and trading for Cabrian Hayes, who, listen, I like Cabrian Hayes. He can't hit. I hope he figures it out next year. I hope he can start hitting the Great American Ballpark. We gave Jose Trevino a $15 million extension. He can't hit. So when the Reds do spend money, the money isn't spent the right way either. It just doesn't make sense. Tito's chair says, so do we end up trading a couple pitchers? That's a good question. I do think the Reds are going to make a trade. I do think the Reds are going to make some kind of significant trade. But it's all they've come out over and over and over and over again saying they don't want to trade pitching because you can never have enough pitching. We saw how last year went. The pitching was great, but also you thought you were going to have Rhett Lauder. He was hurt. Abbott was hurt to start out the season. Hunter Green went through a bunch of injuries. You can really honestly never have too much pitching. So I think they're scared of getting rid of pitching, and then injuries popping up, and all of a sudden you're screwed. But I am tired of the no offense thing. I think maybe it's just because we've seen it for a couple years, but like the 1-0 games or the 3-2 games, like give me some runs. Give me some guys who can hit the ball out of the ballpark. So I don't know. I do think, like I said, I do think the Reds will make a trade. I'm not sure if they'll trade a starting pitcher or not. We'll see. Speaking of starting pitching, maybe this interview will get canceled now that I'm on here ranting about the Reds. But I do have a pretty cool interview lined up on Thursday. Pitcher is all I'll say. I'll tease it there. So like, subscribe, comment, hit the little notification bar. You'll get a notification every time I post a video. But I have a cool interview lined up with a pitcher on Thursday, as long as it doesn't fall through. Maybe this rant, the Reds will see this and be like, you can't go on with this guy. I don't know. We'll see. But Thursday should be fun. So come back on Thursday. Like I said, I've never had this many people live in the chat while I'm doing this. So I appreciate you all being here. There's other small market teams that are more aggressive in free agency and the trades. Like I just can't get over with the break even messaging. I can't get over that you had a star player wanting to come to Cincinnati essentially, and you fail to make him the same offer the Phillies did. Again, I would not have a problem if the Reds offered the same deal the Phillies did, and Schwarber just said, "Listen, I love Philadelphia because I do think he really likes Philadelphia. I want to be back in Philly." But for your offer to be like, we're not going to offer as much, just come back home, buddy. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm going to read a couple more chats here. If you have any comments, we got some people in here. So fire away. I'm not sure how long I'm going to stay live, but I'm going to read a couple more comments while we have some people in here. I have an unpopular opinion, but this has to be a make or break year for Chase Petty. He needs to change his pitch shapes drastically. Yeah, I actually had Kyle Bodie on not too long ago, who knows Petty pretty well, and he kind of said the same thing about his pitch shapes. They just aren't good enough at the major league level. And it was concerning to see how bad he struggled last year in AAA. I hope he turns the corner, but yeah, that he's still young. I will say he came up from high school. He's still so young. I think he's going to be 23 this year. So hopefully this offseason he's, messing with some pitch grips and getting some new pitch shapes, because that's exactly what Kyle Woody said, is it doesn't translate to the major league level. Schmack 129 says Reds team will look almost exactly the same as last year's. Trust me, no big changes will happen at all. I hope not. I hope not. I hope the Reds don't go be like, hey, here's our big signing. We're bringing back Austin Hayes. Even Andujar. Like, I would be cool with Andujar, but that shouldn't be the big signing. That shouldn't be the big signing. You just had your chance at the biggest signing of your franchise's career, and you basically said, we're only going to sign him if we'll come back for on a budget. It just doesn't make sense to me. Schmack129 says, I'm looking forward to Rhett Lauder. I still think he's a potential star pitcher. I'm excited to see Rhett Lauder pitch this year. He was obviously fantastic in 6 games in the majors in 2024. I think he's a really good pitcher. Obviously, injuries were terrible for him last season, but it'll be exciting to see him in 2026. It'll be interesting to see if he makes the rotation out of spring training because you have Chase Burns, you have Rhett Lauder, you have Brady Singer, you have Hunter Green, you have Nick Lodolo, you have Andrew Abbott. Like, now, I will say someone always seems to be hurt, so we'll see how many pitchers are healthy. But yeah, it'll be excited to watch Rhett Lauder this year. Reds need pitching clearly because they're going to have to win games 1-0 again. Michael Atwell 9793 says, I hope Jarren Duran is still being shopped. I do too. That's one of the main guys that I would give away a pitcher for. I really like Jarren Duran. I think he plays with an awesome energy. He would become a fan favorite instantly. He can hit the ball. He can field. He's just a fun player, and he's under contract for a while. I would be all for Jarren Duran. All for Jarren Duran. I don't know. I'm tired of getting my hopes up. I told everybody, in case you weren't here at the beginning, I told everybody when this Schwarber news came out, I was laughing. I wrote an article right away. CincinnatiRedsTalk.com, by the way. Go there, click the articles. That's how I make some money on the side. So appreciate you. Anyway, I wrote an article right away and said the Reds are not signing Kyle Schwarber. Everybody settle down. And then the rumors were just popping. They were popping everywhere, the national writers. Mark Sheldon went from like laughing at it to saying, oh, no, this is real. And again, Sheldon, take it for what you will. He has sources in the organization. I went from laughing at it to getting my hopes up. And you know what? I was driving back. I did a fasting thing yesterday. And lunch was going to be my first meal after fasting. I was getting Chipotle. You know what? I came back, walked in the door, looked at my phone, and I see Kyle Schwarber signing with the Phillies. Usually the first meal after you're fasting tastes so good, you just want to crush it. That Chipotle didn't even taste good. All I could think about was Kyle Schwarber signing with the dang Phillies because the Reds had to lowball him and say, you could have came home, Kyle. We weren't going to pay you as much, but could have came home. All right, another comment. I think Singer could get traded and Littell not coming back, so Lauder and Burns take their places potentially. I do think Singer could possibly be someone that gets traded. I believe he just has a year left on his contract. I'm not sure what you get for him. I think you'd have to hope a team overpays almost. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you get for Singer. If you could get somebody, if you could package like Singer and a prospect for someone like Jarren Duran, I would do that so fast. I would maybe give up Lodolo for Duran. I am a huge Jarren Duran fan. But anyway. All right, well, I appreciate you guys all being here. I think I'm going to log off. I just had to come on and fire off some takes. It's just ridiculous that we're all spend so much time being fans of this team. And all we want is the ownership group to spend some money and go get some good players. It's not that difficult. And they get our hopes up. Like, just come out and say, we're going to lowball Kyle Schwarber. We're not going to sign him. But guess what they do? They come out and they're clearly talking in people's ears. And they say, we got a chance. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And they offer him a bajillion less than the Phillies. And Kyle Schwarber resigns with the Phillies. And I don't even think I'd be as mad as if they didn't come out with a stupid quote yesterday that said, we're just trying to break even. Again, everyone that owns, I'm not trying to tell anyone how to spend their money. I guess I am. Everyone that has an ownership stake in the Reds has plenty of damn money. If you're going to be part owner of a team, try to freaking win. And don't try to win by being cheap. Go spend money. It's not that freaking difficult. No fan wants to hear we're just trying to break even. That's ridiculous. And guess what? If that's the way you're going to operate, sell the freaking team. I'll leave you guys with that. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you all being in here. Like I said, usually I go live and there's like 3 viewers in here. I just had to get this off my chest. Um, if you don't like, subscribe, comment, do all the fun things. But I appreciate you all. We'll see you next time. Hopefully, next time I go live, maybe the Reds will actually sign somebody, and it's not somebody like, I don't know, Santiago Espinal. But hopefully, you're all having a great Tuesday, despite the Schwarber news. We'll see you next time. As always, go Reds.